Good afternoon, guys. How are you doing? I hope all of you are doing well. So, in the last couple of classes, we have been learning about creative writing. We introduced what creative writing is, and we discussed fiction and certain genres of fiction. And actually, the part assigned to me is Introduction to Creative Writing. And this introductory part does not have a lot to cover as such. It is a very simple, a very comprehensive introduction that we have to learn, of which we just have some narrative strategies to learn in future, like stream of consciousness, magic realism, all those things we have to learn. But we have a lot of time also. So, being somebody who's into creative writing, being somebody who's very deeply interested in creative writing, I have always felt that creative writing is not something that can actually be very formally taught as such, but rather creative writing, the skill of creative writing can occur to you through practice and through the constant brainstorming and through constantly giving cues to your mind to produce more, or giving being imaginatively involved. So how can we do that in the framework of a classroom, so that by the end of the course, I don't want you to learn about different genres of creative writing, or just know that what creative writing means, but rather I want this course to be useful to you in some way, so that you might end up writing something, or you might end up identify your writing skills eventually. That's what I want to happen through this course, and I have ample time to do that also with you guys, since the portion given to me is quite small. So I'll share some ideas that I myself could come up with or could experience when I was writing things. So I'm talking about tangible images. Tangible images. That is, when you write something, to what extent are you able to give the reader a tangible feel of what you're describing? Now, I know that the noise from the road, the noise of the fishmongers is very much audible to you, probably. I'm not very sure if my microphone is catching that. But now listen, I can hear that very well. Now, these are very ordinary things that we get to encounter on an everyday scale in our lives. So, if imagine that you want to convey this experience to a foreigner, or somebody who may not have seen or experienced this. So how can you do that? Most of the time you can give a very vivid description of the scenario, but there are many other things which are matters of the senses, that touching things, smelling things, or breathing in some aromas. All these things, can you convey these things through writing? We have actually seen many writers do that. Smells and the feel of things when you touch them, or the auditory experience. All these things, many writers have actually wonderfully recreated in their writing, with the selection of certain words and the recreation of certain noises, and trying to communicate through metaphors or how smell goes into them. So these kinds of writing, tangible writing, I would like to call them, something that you can feel, and something that you have a feeling that you yourself have experienced it a bit. So I want all of you to develop that kind of writing. How do you do that? For example, imagine that you have touched very cold water. How do you describe that? I slowly dipped my finger into the flowing water of the river, but the flowing stream embraced my fingers in a way in a way a feather brushes on your body. But the cold chill that it gave me re-energized my energies and led me to thoughts about the Arctics, the cold country. So I just made this up. So similarly, anybody, like, if you have the to do this, you need a bit of observation, in the sense, observe things happening around, and think how you can describe it in a very tangible way. So you must have had very tangible experiences. For example, a rainy morning. A very cold rainy morning, and you don't want to wake up, you just want to wrap yourself in the blanket and be in the bed. So how do you describe that very artistically, so that the precise spirit is communicated to your reader? Or a very breezy cold night in December when you're riding a motorcycle on the road. So that experience, how will you describe it? These are very tangible images. So I want you to think of these tangible images or sensory images that you can recreate in fiction. I'll give you some context to practice this, because creative writing skill is something that you can develop only through practice. So I'm actually giving you a task to practice this, and I'm posting this as an assignment which you would have to complete by evening today, probably 8 o'clock, and submit, so that you'll do that. Because otherwise some people will do, other people will not. So I'm going to post it in Google Classroom as a proper assignment, this story prompt, not a story prompt, but a creative prompt that I'm going to give you. So you'll have to write about it. A very brief in the sense that probably 100 to 300 words would be enough. Not it can be longer, but it need not be as long as 500 words, or it can be long, but you can keep it brief also. Okay, so the story prompt is: write about how you are slowly turning into a tree. Write about how you are slowly turning into a tree. How do you write that? Interesting, right? Just imagine how you will describe how you are slowly turning into a tree. I want you to write about that. I'll post an assignment in Google Classroom, and so by evening 8 o'clock, I need a very brief creative piece by you about how you'll write about how you are slowly turning into a tree. Okay. Let's see how well you describe it, how tangibly or how tangibly you describe it. Smells and feels and touch and sight, all those tangible images should come in. So how do you do it? Let's see. Okay, so all the best, and I'll give you a review, give the reviews of the work that you've done in the next class. I know that there's a bit of noise, but there is no other way of recording without noise as such here. So we'll manage. I hope it's audible. Okay, we'll do that then. Okay, so work on it. I'll say it once again. Write about how you are slowly turning into a tree. All the best. Thank you.